Prince Kuhio Day is celebrated every March 26 in Hawaii to honor Prince Kuhio Kalanianaole Piikoi and to remember everything that he has done for the people of Hawaii. But who is this famous prince? Prince Kuhio was born in Koloa, Kauai on March 26, 1871, the youngest son of Princess Victoria Kekaulike and High Chief David Piikoi. Through his mother, he was the great-grandson of King Kamuali'i of Kauai, and he was later hanai adopted by King David Kalakaua and Queen Kapi'olani, his mother's sister. They would then raise him and his brothers in Honolulu, Oahu. Kuhio's birthplace is now called Prince Kuhio Park in Koloa, Poipu. You can still see the fish pond Ho'aiheau and the place of his royal home there. Every year people go there to honor him. Have you ever been to Koloa and passed this park named for him? Maybe one day you and your ohana can visit this park too. Do you know any other places that are named after him?
Let's review what we learned. Prince Kuhio Day is celebrated every March 26th. He was the great-grandson of King Kamuali'i of Kauai and was the hanai son of King Kalakaua, the king of Hawaii. Prince Kuhio was born in Poipu, Koloa.
Prince Kuhio, like all Ali'i children of his time, was highly educated, having attended schools like Royal School, Iolani, and Punahou in Honolulu. He would even be sent by his uncle, King Kalakaua, to study outside of Hawaii as part of the 1880 Hawaiian Youth Abroad program, and would travel to the United States, Britain, and Japan for education. Prince Kuhio was an exceptional student and a gifted athlete, excelling in a variety of sports such as football, boxing, track, baseball, polo, and cycling. He was also a talented horseman and was skilled in lua, the traditional Hawaiian practice of martial arts. Prince Kuhio was also an expert waterman and enjoyed surfing, swimming, and paddling. He, along with his brother, Prince David Kawananakua, are credited with introducing surfing to the United States and Britain when attending school there. Prince Kuhio is also credited with reviving the traditional Hawaiian sport of canoe racing, having commissioned the first of Wa'akialoa, a traditional racing canoe built since historical times. His deep love for his people, his culture, and his country meant that he advocated not only for Hawaiian rights and sovereignty, but also for the revitalization of traditional practices and protocols. In 1893, he would fight to restore the Hawaiian monarchy after it was illegally overthrown by the United States. He was arrested for his protests and would only be released after his aunt, Queen Liliuokalani, signed a document in which she had to forcibly give up her throne, a decision she made in order to spare our people bloodshed and to release the Hawaiians who had been imprisoned because of their loyalty to our kingdom. What would you do if a neighbor came and took over your house and claimed it as theirs, then put you and your family in jail for over a year because they were wrong? How would you feel? This is how Prince Kuhio felt too.
Let's review what we learned. Prince Kuhio was highly educated. He was a gifted athlete and waterman. He was a supporter of Hawaiian rights and culture. Prince Kuhio wanted to restore the Hawaiian monarchy.
In 1901, Prince Kuhio would become the second Native Hawaiian to ever serve as a United States Congressional delegate. He would travel far from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. to represent our people. Do you know who Kauai's leader is? Do you recognize him? Prince Kuhio's work as a politician led to the construction of many important places: Pearl Harbor, Makapu'u Lighthouse, the Hilo Wharf, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, Kilauea National Park, and the building of a hospital at Kalaupapa for those suffering from Hansen's disease. Although it was not easy for him, as he was heavily discriminated against because of his skin color, he continued to remain steadfast to our people and our nation, fighting for both our rights and the rights of people who looked like us. How would you feel if someone made you feel unwanted or bullied you? Prince Kuhio worked hard to educate his friends in Congress and others about Hawaii, and would teach people about the culture and people while making sure Hawaii's best interests were always represented in D.C. Prince Kuhio worked hard to connect Hawaii with the rest of the world by pushing for regular mail service, and fought to keep the radio, a new technology, the only form of widespread communication at the time, free and accessible for all. So what else has Prince Kuhio done? Often called Keali'i Maka'inana, or the Prince of the People, Prince Kuhio was widely celebrated for his dedication to Hawaii's people. Prince Kuhio would also found the county system of Hawaii in 1919, helped form the first Hawaiian Civic Club, promoted Hawaiians into leadership positions in the city and county system, and he would also fight for the creation of Hawaiian homelands, a project which would ensure land and housing for Native Hawaiian people, many of whom were houseless or living in poverty at the time. An example of how bad the conditions were was the average life expectancy of Hawaiians during this time, which was 30 to 35 years old. This is compared to the average life expectancy of 53 years old in America at the time. Do you know anyone who's 30 years old? By the time our kupuna reached Miss Renti Cruz's age, many would be dead. This is why he worked so hard to help the Hawaiian people. Today, we continue to recognize and remember the fearless life of Prince Jonah Kuhio, whose deep love of our lands and our people can still be seen and felt today.
E ola kainoa o Prince Jonah Kuhio Kalanianaole Piikoi. Aloha!
Let's review what we learned. As a politician, he taught others about Hawaii and its people. He supported in national parks, some other well-known landmarks, and Hawaiian homelands, which served a purpose for Hawaiians to have places to live and allow them to practice their culture freely. He made it affordable for the people in Hawaii to have access to new technology like radios and regular mail delivery. Prince Kuhio created Hawaiian civic clubs to allow Hawaiians to have leadership roles and to preserve Hawaiian culture.